Well, welcome everybody. My name is Sally Arkell Bowles, and you are at Sally Speaks Mindset, the podcast where we dive deep into unlocking the potential of our midlife and our mindset. So, if you're ready to reignite your passion, rediscover your purpose, and embrace the joy of life and the rest of the life that you have to come, which is probably a lot of years, then I'm so excited today to introduce you to my friend, Nicole Peterhans. Now, she is absolutely incredible. You'll love her energy and the alignment that she brings forward in being able to serve people. She's a mindset coach and an alignment coach, and she has a unique ability to pick upon the subtle forces, the vibrations and energies that surround us. And that just really gets my juices flowing because I love the fact that we actually have the opportunity to really tap into those vibrations and those energies. And for me, that's a big part of what I'm noticing more and more people are wanting to learn more about because they're understanding the value of tapping into those energies. Now,
Mm,
Nicole has a passion for helping individuals tap into that inner potential and transform their limiting energies that shape their lives. And she has become a guide for those seeking balance, clarity, and empowerment. And her mission is to transform the lives of those who are sensitive, introverted, and or empathetic so that they are valued, seen, and appreciated for the powerful, creative, and dynamic individuals that they are. And I just love that because I think for a lot of us, we think that everybody can be treated with the same cloth. And
mm.
so I'm really excited to delve into this conversation with you today, Nicole, and welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I look forward to this and thank you for having me again. So I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. So now, when we were talking about the energies and everything else, you've talked to me a little bit about the empowerment code. So what is the empowerment code?
Okay, so in short, empowerment code is providing a foundation that consists of three elements to bring balance and flow into the lives for highly sensitive and empathic people. Um, So before I go deeper into the empowerment code, I want to point out why we are not imbalanced, and especially as
Mhm.
highly sensitive people and empaths. And so as HSPs and empaths, we experience the world on a deeper level. We feel it more nuanced, and we are more tuned into the subtleties of life and the needs of the environment and of other people.
Mhm.
And because we feel more deeply and care on a deeper level, we can easily fall into the habit or maybe the trap of, constantly giving, and
Mm.
to the point where we start to neglect our own needs and therefore become overwhelmed, depleted, or drained.
Mm.
And unless we have very good boundaries and a great sense of self, this mode of giving or constantly doing can leave us with feelings of anxiety, frustration, and resentment. And
Mm.
when we do not give ourselves the attention and time that we need, and we don't make ourselves the same priority that we make everybody else, and then we start neglecting ourselves. So that's the one hand. And then on the other hand, we are have our own desires, and we are pulled to follow our own passions and purpose. So our inner voice and intuition is kind of nudging us in a different direction, to what we want to do and what we should do. And then we have a hard time combining these two things because we kind of want to keep up what's asked from us from the outer environment and trying to fit in the mold and doing it
Mhm.
right.
Right.
And so there we neglect our own desires. We're not following
Mm.
our nudges, and we lose sight of the overall pictures and also of our own strengths as HSPs and empaths. And that's when we start to disconnect. So we
Mhm.
start to disconnect from our own selves, and we are in this constant doing mode. We do, and we don't be anymore.
Mm.
It's
Right.
doing instead of being.
Right.
So to sum it up, we're determined, we have our own pulls,
Yep.
but kind of hold back by the environment, by society, by our limiting beliefs and fears and insecurities that really keep us from our full potential. And our vision, drive, and ideas are held back by expectations and the pressure of society. So we're feeling this push and pull. And to regain balance again and to enjoy life, we need to reconnect with our inner self, with our true self, and with our sense of being. And doing this, to do this, or in a balanced way, I've created the empowerment code for HSPs and empaths, basically.
That's awesome. And so there was a lot that you offered in there. So, and I love that because it gives us some discussion points, because there are a lot of people that are HSP. So if people don't know what that means, it's highly sensitive people.
Yes, exactly. It's the highly sensitive. And again, it's we do experience world on a deeper level. Our brain is a bit differently structured differently, so it works differently. So we look at things from a more overall point of view instead of straightforward, which is not bad. There's no judgment in that. It's not bad or worse. It's just different. And by doing this, we pick up everything again more varied and a lot more details, and we feel more, for what the needs are of the environment, of others. And again, that can kind of pull us away from our own needs because we have all these demands that we feel.
Yeah. So, and from what I understand, it's the energy that we're feeling of other people, even pets, etc., that are, we're feeling the energy of whatever's happening around us. So whether it's good energy or destructive energy, we're feeling that and we're taking that in and we're internalizing that. And it's hard to break us apart from having those feelings to really focus on where we're wanting to be. Is that
exactly, because we have this empathy too, and this compassion, and we want, a lot of us, obviously, probably not, not everybody falls into this, but a lot of us have that nurturing touch too, where we feel like we want to help, we want to support, and we want to be there, and because we see what's needed out there and what's needed from other people, and we kind of have this broader view of the full picture, it's easy to then neglect or give up on our own needs and just go for what others need or what the community needs. But that's again when we start to put other people's needs first. That's really when this disconnection happens with us, when we kind of start to neglect ourselves.
Yes.
And that then leads to resentment and insecurities, fears, anything. If we're not connected with our own needs and with who we truly are, then we're just functioning really, but we're not really connected, and we don't have a strong foundation that supports us and the confidence that we need.
Excellent. So now, as you're talking about your empowerment code, what are the elements in there that can actually support somebody within this?
So the empowerment code is made up of 3 elements. The first is self-love. So the self-love is all about accepting and honoring yourself for all that you are, So give yourself the time, space, and attention that you need and deserve, and really make yourself to your priority. So, or at least the same priority that you give to your environment. And also look at your flaws and accept that we are all not perfect, but look at this as learning and growth opportunities instead of judging and criticizing ourselves.
Yeah.
Because and oftentimes I feel like we do appreciate a lot of who we are, or we feel like we love ourselves, but then our inner voices just still keep saying things, that are not very kind to ourselves. And it's all of it. It's really, we just have to really be very clear of where we go astray and where we still criticize ourselves, because these are all little attacks of ourselves. And this is all kind of the negative energy that we're still carrying force, where we're attacking ourselves, and these lower vibrations that we carry in our body.
Right.
So this is the first component. And then the next one is the balance of the feminine and masculine energies. And so feminine and masculine energies are qualities inside everyone. And it doesn't matter what gender you are, but it's just these two qualities that we all have, and they have to be balanced in there. If one is over dominating or repressed, then the other part is neglected as well. And then that reaches us again that prevents us again from reaching our full potential. And so the feminine energies are more the inward qualities of this duo, and the masculine energies are the outward qualities. And so the feminine energies are about being, about receiving, about patience, about nurturing, being in flow, and your intuition and your inspiration. So through the intuition and inspiration, we bring back a wisdom, like our inner wisdom. And that's the feminine within. It's all coming from within, whereas the masculine is the outward energy. It's the doing, it's being active, it's giving, it's being dominant and logical. So it's basically the energy that brings the inward or the creative spark into fruition. You know, it's the executor of what has been burst within, like that flow of the feminine. It brings it out into the world. And and that's why both of them have to be equal, because if for example, the masculine is dormant, then whatever is being burst will not be brought outside. It's still sleeping then inside. And on the other hand, if the masculine is always giving, it can, as I mentioned before, result into an overwhelm or into a drain. So these two energies are very important. And if you don't mind, I would like to go a little bit more in detail, because I really think it's a very important and exciting topic. But I just want to point out, a healthy feminine is all about, if we look at it from the mother archetype, is all about nurturing, supportive, receptive, and being there for the need of the whole, and bring harmony and beauty into the life and the world around them. But if the feminine is lacking or not in balance, then it's passive, it's not feeling worthy, self-depleting, and can be overly worried. And it can lead to people pleasing too, and really being taken advantage of, and all that. And on the other hand, the healthy masculine is loyal. Again, looking from the archetype of the father, it's loyal, it's providing and protective for the people it's in charge with. He takes action. He's able to set boundaries and has a clear vision. On the other hand, if it's over dominating, it can be scary, intimidating, offending, and taking control and take advantage of others. So in that sense, we need to make sure that we have these balanced, so that we have the power with wisdom, and an energy that's activated and flows, and so that's how we can be in integrity with our true self.
So let's dive a little bit further in, because I love the idea of the masculine and feminine energy. And I know that there's a lot of people that are viewing that are also in more masculine energy type of positions, where the companies are, like I was in a company where, most of my companies were very male dominated and very masculine energy. And so I learned how to become very strong in my masculine energy in order to succeed and be recognized. And so how do we, if we are in that situation, so I'm a woman, I'm working in masculine energy, I'm living that all day long at the
Mhm.
workplace. And now how do I actually start tapping into my feminine energy
Mhm.
within that
Mhm.
environment so that I don't lose that balance?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a really good question because as you say, I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially in our current world with and when you're in the corporate world and all that. Um, well, it's really an invitation to make space, for yourself and to go into these reflective spaces. When you're not at work, and I guess, start with meditation, start with journaling, really give yourself the time and see what's coming up inside. So I think a lot of it is really honor your time and honor your needs and give yourself the time to see what's inside, what wants to come forth and go into that more introspective space, go into the stillness and
Mhm.
cultivate that and also create an environment at home that is more soothing, with, maybe you have candles, maybe you have crystals, maybe you have music, that it's just like a more, provide this more soothing environment that that balances your,
Mhm.
especially if you're in a job and can't really, you know, not everybody can quit a job and do something else. So, so at least you give yourself a balance where you can, um, even your nervous system, let your nervous system relax
Mhm.
from the
Yeah.
going from the sympathetic nervous system, make space and go into the parasympathetic, let it relax. So create that environment around you where you give yourself that relaxing, quiet time.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and I think that's really important within families, the dynamic of families today. A lot of families are the drive, drive, drive. Like my
mhm,
kids need to be involved in all of these activities. They need to be getting
mhm.
top grades in school. They need to
Yes.
be doing all
Mhm.
these things, and we need to keep them so active and so busy
Yes.
that sometimes I think that the kids are starting to really have to step into that masculine energy, and they don't get that quiet time, that
Yes.
downtime to just
Yes.
self-reflect, to have ease, to just not
Mhm.
have to think about anything.
Yeah, to just
Just
be. Mhm.
just be or
Mhm.
play or do
Just
things
be.
that are going to bring them joy.
Yeah.
So
Basically
are
get
you
out of your mind.
recognizing that
Pardon?
within, are you recognizing that within the environment, and what could moms and dads do to,
Yes, totally. Totally. I also feel like that it's probably also a matter of, setting boundaries and just seeing like what is possible and what is not possible. I mean, my kids are now
Mhm.
grown, but I experience that too. There's always so much to do. I mean, you can be constantly running and going,
Mhm.
but it's probably also an invitation to the parents to just say that's what, we're doing one activity a day or whatever, it
Mhm.
depends on what activity it is, but just saying no to certain things. I once had a friend, she was also a mom and she was so overwhelmed. We're actually still friends, but it was when we were younger, and she was so overwhelmed with everything, and then she was going on vacation and she said, I don't even look forward to this because I just want to be home. And I'm like, oh, this is
Mhm.
crazy, and that was such an eye-opener for me to like, hey, just slow down, and just stop and just be home and let the
Mhm.
kids do. They don't always need to be entertained.
Yes.
They can entertain themselves. They can go outside and run around.
Mhm.
And
Well, I think
and
it's part of, what's happening in society today, that we need to be showing
mhm,
that we're doing everything. We need to feel like we have to do those things
mhm.
to have a successful life.
Yes.
Or, we need to take our children here. We need to do these types of
Yes.
things. We're not really allowing ourselves and our children to just chill.
Yes, exactly. Because we feel like we're missing out on something. And in the end, we really don't. Sometimes looking back and you feel like, I mean, we don't even know everything that we did anymore, because we did so much stuff.
Mhm.
And I feel it's also, at least for me, and I don't know if that's also has to do with the more sensitive aspect. When I do something, I need time to digest it,
Mhm.
to reflect on it. And if I jump from one thing to the next, then it's all a blur. And
Yes.
and then it's like, why did we even do that? Just do
Mhm.
one or two things more conscious. And then you actually feel the whole experience. It's more, I guess, more into the realm of mindfulness. You do something really conscious and really reflect on it, and then that sticks with you, and then you get the full experience instead of jumping from one thing to the next. But it's true, I guess, as parents, we have to do, be kind of show them the way, and
Yeah,
yeah.
and invite the flow, right? Maybe
Yes.
just sit down with your
Mhm.
child on the couch and watching a funny
Yeah.
kids show with them, and just snuggling and having
Yes.
that one-on-one time is so powerful in
It
just
it
having that
is.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much overstimulation out in the world anyway, it's even for these little children, to just calm down and get their nervous system, down to a neutral level again. It's very beneficial to just stay
Mhm.
home and be
And then
and
let's talk about couples.
oh
Because I think there's a lot of, the push and pull amongst the balance of the masculine and feminine energy in
yeah.
couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know at certain times when I was working in that masculine energy, I would take that masculine role in the family a lot of the times,
Yes.
because it was just an extension of what I was doing at work all day. And other
Yes.
times,
Mm-hmm.
I would see him, my husband, wanting to bring his masculine energy, and then I'm having to, you know, really think hard about, oh, well, what is he wanting to achieve versus me?
I
And
see.
I've since become so much more aware of that. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in the moment, you're not that aware, because
Yes.
as a wife and as a mother, you get to be the organizer. You're sort of doing your work,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also taking care of the home and everything else going on in that.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do to a relationship when there's sort of an imbalance between that masculine and feminine energy in the partnership?
Yes, that can be really hard if, let's say both of them are more in the masculine and both of them are more pushy and more doing and want their way. That can lead to a lot of conflict unless both partners are, willing to talk and to compromise and to kind of give and take. I think it's a lot of give and take, and obviously we cannot change personalities. I believe, some people are naturally a little bit more driven, and some people are more um, the quiet ones, and they more on the passive side. And
Yes.
this not doesn't necessarily have to do with the masculine feminine energy. It's more, I look at it more as a personality trait. But I think if both are very, very driven and both are very demanding, then that can be very difficult, because it can lead to conflicts. And then on the other hand, if both are more in the feminine and in the unhealthy feminine, it can become very stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever makes a decision. It's all about,
Right.
yeah, maybe this, maybe that, but nothing ever gets done. So I think that it's a giving and the giving and the taking, and just again talking and evaluating and see where do you want to push, where is the ego involved too, why do you need your way, where can you step back,
Yeah.
and evaluating that, and really giving the space to both, and accept both needs of both partners.
Mm-hmm. And I think it also stems back to what the first element was that you were talking about in your code with the self-love, to really start to love yourself, and what you're able to bring forward into any
Yes.
relationship is going to
Yeah.
be what's going to help it to blossom in a much
Yeah.
better fashion amongst
Yeah,
both.
no, yeah, that's exactly true. And not taking things personally, and
Mhm.
why you always have to win, for example, it's like, and then, yeah, and there's definitely elements then are now deeper, where,
Mhm.
again, where does the strong ego come in? Why do you need that attention and that recognition constantly, and constantly it needs to
Mhm.
go your way, so there's probably then deeper energies at play, or deeper patterns at play, when there
Mhm.
can be compromised, and when somebody constantly has to control and to dominate,
Right.
and there's definitely an imbalance there that is hard. But I think
Mhm.
if there's enough willingness to talk and to compromise, then this can very well go. This can be a very dynamic relationship and can be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I
And I
can.
think that's the big piece, is that communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we
Mm-hmm.
all have our own moments in
Mm-hmm.
any
Yeah.
relationship,
Yes.
where we're feeling
Mhm.
not heard or hurt
Mhm.
or any of those types of things. And how can we just be open to having that conversation without
Mhm.
the raised voices and just
Yeah.
say, this is how I'm feeling. This
Yeah.
is what I'm experiencing right now. And I
Yes.
just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being able to have those conversations, I think, is a real big key in what you're
Mhm.
talking about today.
Yeah, this and exactly, and having the respect, having the respect for others, but also having the respect for self.
Right.
And really keeping that. And that's actually also part of self-love, respecting yourself and respecting your needs, but also respecting, I mean, especially in a partnership, we want to be respectful to each other. And I think if we can keep that and respectful communication, then we can work with these
Mhm.
masculine, feminine energies, or especially if there's two, more masculine and prominent
Mhm.
partners together.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I could talk about this all day. So we'll move on to the third element. What's the third element? The
I know
third
it's exciting. It's interesting how this all works, doesn't it? I mean,
It
and
is.
actually the third element plays into that. It's about the mindset.
Mhm.
It's about your thoughts and your beliefs and your emotions, and so really the mindset that works on a very subtle level, because it's all energy, we know that, and also our thoughts and beliefs are energy. So what we send out, we get back,
Mhm.
we manifest into our life. And so if we have a lot of resistance and limiting beliefs and fears, that's exactly what we pull in. But
Mhm.
if we are in flow, and if we have a supportive, I call it not a positive, but I call it a supportive mindset,
Mhm.
um, then that's what we pull into our life. And I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
um, I just wanted to yeah, anyway, so yeah, so I wanted to bring it back to the couple and to the
Mhm.
relationship, so the mindset there again, yeah, the mindset and the self-love, how do you feel about yourself, how do you respect yourself, and that's, so if you don't respect yourself, then you also don't get the respect from the outside,
Right.
because that's what you attract. If you don't
Mhm.
accept yourself, you do not get the acceptance from others. So that's where you can see where you're off balance,
Mhm.
um, in the self-love, in the mindset, and then in your masculine, feminine.
Mhm.
That's where it all comes together.
Right.
Um, and that's why these three elements have to be balanced.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so that we can show up as our true self, or have this really strong sense of being of who we are, and that's where we then can compromise in a relationship,
Mhm.
and um, um, can negotiate or talk with each other on a very neutral and respectful level,
Mhm.
and when we don't take these things personally, if we don't get our own way, but
Right.
if we feel like we are not worthy or not heard, we don't take it so well then, and it
Mhm.
gets more emotional in a relationship.
Yeah. And I
So
think that's, part of what you're talking about is the synchronicity within those three elements.
mhm.
And
Yes,
how when we're in synchronicity, we'll feel it. We'll feel
exactly.
that flow is there. We'll feel that ease. We'll feel that
Yes,
there's a nice balance between, the masculine and feminine, but we'll also be able to still hold on to our self-love for ourselves,
exactly.
and especially as an empath or an HSP,
Yes,
because
exactly. But
they're
yeah, very
always, my experience is they're always in that struggle, right? They're
mhm.
always in that
Exactly.
struggle personally because of the energy.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, yeah, exactly. It is all the energy. And if the energy is off, then things are not really flowing, you're not
Mhm.
in alignment, and things are not really flowing forward. But it is very possible to be in alignment and to hold these strong boundaries. If you truly know who you are, if you have that confidence in yourself,
Mhm.
and if you have feel that empowerment within, then you are able to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, but in a respectful way, not offending others, but just really setting your boundaries and
Mhm.
saying, this is what I need, this is me, and that's how far I can go.
Mm-hmm.
and otherwise I'm kind of giving up on myself. And again, that's when we're already starting to betray ourselves, neglect ourselves. That's when the self-love comes in again. That's not there anymore then.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And that,
but it is very possible for, to, as a sensitive and as an empath, to create these boundaries and stand up for yourself and be seen and speak up and not be taken advantage of others.
mm,
Um, but again, it's all coming from the inside. It's all based on the beliefs that we have, the beliefs that we formed. And this oftentimes starts very early on in our life, when we were formed in our formative years of childhood, when we were very young, what we experienced, what we heard,
mm-hmm.
that's oftentimes when these beliefs were formed. So they're oftentimes very, very deep. They're on a subconscious level very often and running our life, and we're not even aware of it.
Right. Yeah.
What's happening. We just see what's happening on the outside, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm being taken advantage of all the time. I'm not being seen, and I'm just giving constantly. Why can I not stop that? And it really starts
Mm,
from very deep within with these beliefs
right.
that where you don't feel worthy, where you don't feel importance, where you don't feel lovable, and then that's what you send out, and that's what you draw into your life.
Mm-hmm. And a lot
So
of those feelings, we don't even know what it's associated to, like you're saying, right? The
yes,
paradigm or an experience that has happened. And,
yes,
until you really understand where
hmm
that might have come from, uh,
hmm
you don't really know how to
hmm
overcome it.
Yes, no, it's very true. Yeah, we really don't know, and that's another way where we have to go back, and inward and really connect with
Mm-hmm.
our inner self and see what is it, that we're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
What caused the insecurities, what caused this like rejection of ourselves,
Yeah.
and what kind of rejection did we? I mean, it's often going back actually to rejection. I feel rejection is
Mm.
probably one of the bigger wounds that a lot of us carry, in some sort or form, a
Mhm.
rejection from um, it's usually a caretaker parent, early on, and it can be in the form of a neglect or of an abandonment, of a loss
Mhm.
or betrayal, but it's always that we kind of perceive it as a rejection of ourselves, and
Mhm.
from there these beliefs form
Right.
that we are not good enough or we are not
Mhm.
loved, whatever. But it goes back. So yeah, so I encourage everybody to really, who struggles with this, to
Mhm.
really go way back and kind of unravel, the memories that
Exactly. Yeah.
and I know they're not always easy to, but
Mhm.
but that's usually where it's buried.
Mhm. Yeah, I had an incident. I was talking to my husband on the weekend because we went down to a mountain park,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a fear of falling off of a cliff, right?
Uh-huh.
So when we go up some of these roads and we're
Yeah.
on the edge, I just have a really hard
Oh.
time with that, and I always have. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember my sisters telling me, because I grew up on a farm, telling
Uh-huh.
me that when I was about 5, I
Uh-huh.
fell down the side of all the bales of hay in the
Oh,
barn,
oh, really?
and they were freaking out and had to get dad to come and try and get me out of there.
Oh,
And though I don't remember it,
yes.
I'm starting to believe that that is where I get that fear from. Because
Yes.
now that I understand how
Mm.
this all works and how we
Yeah.
get paradigms
Yeah.
in there, the experience probably was traumatic at the time.
Yes,
I have no
exactly.
memory of it. I've only heard it from my sisters.
I see.
And so
Yeah.
as we're driving, and I
Mhm.
don't like to be on those kinds of roads, uh,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
he has no problem with it. I'm like, I wonder if this where it stemmed from. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably pretty sure it did.
Mm-hmm.
But
Most
now I
probably.
need to figure out, okay, so now if I believe that that's what has caused that,
Yeah.
emotional reaction in me, when I
Yes.
experience something that might have a similar feeling to it, what
Mm-hmm.
is it that's causing that? And so now I get to do the inner work and say, okay,
Yes.
so do I
Mhm.
have, I believe that now,
Exactly. Yes.
right?
Yes. And also counter it with a different belief, like
Hmm.
I'm safe, just giving you that feeling of, no, I'm safe,
Hmm.
because it definitely left I'm sure it left an imprint on your
Oh,
nervous
I'm sure
system
it did.
when you fell down there, and the fear
Yep.
that you experience, that's still in there.
Hmm.
So yeah, just kind of bringing in a new energy, where
Hmm.
you feel safe, and nothing can happen. So you're not going to fall off that cliff.
Hmm. Yeah.
But it is true. It is good to go back, and then it is takes a little bit of effort to shift these beliefs. We have to
Mhm.
be very aware,
Mhm.
because they sometimes, again, sometimes we're not even aware what, or we don't even know that we're thinking them, or
Mhm.
that we're holding them. But
Yeah,
once
it's
you're
an
aware, you
emotion that
can.
shows up in a certain situation that makes you feel
Yes, exactly.
fearful, like you said, fearful or insignificant or whatever that might be. And it
Yes,
typically stems back to something
yes,
that
exactly.
created that in the past.
Yes.
And so
Mhm.
identifying that is a
Mhm.
real big opportunity for, like you said,
Yes.
to reframe it.
Yeah, it's true. And often if we don't remember ourselves, it's like family members, that might be able to
Mhm.
help and
Mhm.
tell us about certain incidents that we were too young to remember.
Exactly. Or we chose not to.
Or we chose not to.
But we still
Exactly.
have a response to it, right? We still have a
Exactly.
response to it that's just
Yes.
comes out naturally
Yes.
because we have that
Exactly.
fear or
Yes.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now what's the underlying force that's determining if the empowerment code is in balance or not?
Well, it's basically what we talked about is the energies, because all of it is really based on energies. Again, like what we are thinking, what we are feeling, what we are doing, it's all has a reaction to the outside world and what
Mhm.
we're bringing in. And if we're bringing in situations into our life that are not beneficial for us, or that or situations where we turn in a path, in a circle, um, that when we are not in flow, basically, that means something is off, the energy is off.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's all the underlying energetic components that are, running on lower frequencies, because they're based on lower beliefs, on limiting beliefs, I call
Mhm.
them. But it's really, they have lower frequencies. And once these started to shift and they're changed, then automatically it will change what you're sending out into the world.
Mhm.
If you're starting to believe in yourself, if you're starting to believe you're worthy, if you're starting to love yourself, then you will not let other people take advantage of you anymore. Because then you're like, no, I'm whereas before we felt like I'm not good enough. Like, no, I'm good enough.
Mhm.
I'm not, I have my boundaries. I'm not going to do this. This
Mhm.
doesn't align with my values,
Right.
or.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
Mhm.
I've just loved this discussion today. As you can
Yes.
tell, I get deep into this. Um, but I really appreciate how you've really have your empowerment code with those three elements in it, because that makes it a lot clearer for anybody, um,
Yes. Yes.
HSP or
Mhm.
um, sorry, highly sensitive and empaths.
Empathic. Yes.
I'm like, where's the word, Sally?
I know.
And
Glad
the
that happens
empath.
to you too.
Yes, it does. But I think, from that perspective, I think it would apply to everybody. But
Yes.
specifically, where you're focusing is on the
Mhm.
HSPs and the empaths, because they do have that struggle of
We
being able
do.
to
Yeah.
take on
Yeah.
so much of that energy that may not serve them. And so I love that you're really tuned into that vibration and have tools to be able to help them. So now,
Yeah.
how can people find you, and have you got anything that you wanted to offer to them that they could at least explore what you're up to?
Yes, certainly. Yes. So I have my website, www.nicolepeterhans.com, and I do have a free ebook on it. It's on that front homepage. It's called Three Reasons Why You're Invisible and Not Appreciated, and how to fix it.
Mhm.
And it talks more about what we talked about now. So yeah, so that's free to download, and then obviously my other offerings are also listed on the website. But that's definitely a good start to kind of evaluate, where you might not be in balance, just by reading through that ebook at first, and see, what is off, where it's not flowing, why it's not flowing. That will give you a good idea.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. I'll have to get my
Mhm.
hands on it as well.
Yes,
I just love studying
I
these materials,
know.
because it definitely is so enlightening to have those simple distinctions that
Mhm.
you can change along
Mhm.
the path
Mhm.
within your own life, and to be
Mhm.
able to make an impact to others as well at the same
Yeah,
time. Because
yeah,
really,
yeah.
that's why we're all here, is to serve in a way that's going to be impactful for other people. And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
for the universe as a whole. So let's
Yes.
just step into this and really make
Yeah.
a difference for others. And it's just been an absolute pleasure to have you here today.
Thank
And
you.
I know that you're going to have a lot of success with the
Thank you.
empowerment code because it really does touch what a lot of people are wanting to
Yeah.
understand more fully
Yeah.
today.
No, I believe that too, and I believe there's no reason to suffer. There's ways now that we know how we can shift. There's a lot of knowledge out there, and really anything can be shifted.
Mhm.
I've seen it myself. I'm also an HSP, and I've gone through all that, and that's why I have this compassion to shift, because I was one of those who was very shy and very, not seen, and I hid all the time, and it so much has shifted in my life, and it's opened up so many more opportunities and new potential, and it's just so exciting, and I know everybody can get to that point.
Yes, awesome.
So,
Well,
yes.
when the teacher has gone and lived through the path themselves, that shows that the transformation is available.
There we go. Yes, I know. I'm definitely an example of that.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to another episode in the future.
You're very welcome. I would love to. Thank you, Sally. That was wonderful. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for your
Nicole.
time. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.